stop that maybe our product is wrong, and my sister, on the other hand, was still scared. But eventually, she had to go and meet a dermatologist, and the problem was solved. Now, there are over 1 million people like my sister in Nigeria, in Africa. In 2023, NAFDAC said there was a state of emergency in skin bleaching. So we looked at the problem and we said, okay, we'll solve it using data, right? Everyone has their biological structure. You have your skin type and your skin tone, but people don't know that. So when they go, they buy products based on community reviews, right? So I'm going to get the product because this person has already gotten the product. And the African market for skincare is growing over 14 billion. And even in the world, it's over 500 and something billion in the world. And in Nigeria, we keep losing close to 12 billion in that market, right? So what do? We created Kaonita. Initially, it was an application. When we met brands in Lagos, we had to iterate and make it a SaaS. Take, for instance, Grammarly for skincare, right? In Grammarly, if you are writing a wrong letter in Google, it says, oh, that thing you're typing is wrong. Now, in skincare industry, if you go to Arami Essentials, they throw product at you, right? If you go to any product website, even if you are buying skincare from Jumia, right? But how are you going to get a personalized solution? Then we thought of a SaaS. It sits on every website like Grammarly. If you go to our site right now, you can try a demo of it. Kaonita, just check it on Google, you see. So when you go there with just your mail, we ask you a series of questions and we'll vet the product with your data. We'll give you recommendations of the product that best suits your skin. So that way, we're trying to solve Kaonita. And this the problem. And this recommendation comes with the help of AI. We are building our model. It would interest you to know that in Africa, there is no core data for the skincare industry. Exactly. So that's what we're building. Thank you very much. Yeah.
That's very good. All right, the last pitch for this afternoon. Can you please hand it over to her? And then we're still having difficulty getting our man online. Are we still having, is he ready? He hasn't come on. The number they sent was wrong, not valid.
All right, my name is Tolu Akinwole Ashiri. I'll be making the presentation on application of AI in children, teens, and youth ministry. Now, I've discovered that when we were young, the way the Bible was presented to us is quite different from the way we have to present the gospel to Gen Zs and the Alpha generation. Now, you can see that, yes, the church is making lots of restructuring. Gone are the days we don't have PowerPoint presentation in the church. We don't have screen in the church. We don't have projector in the church. But we discovered that all these things are now coming in. Why? So that we discovered that church is now leveraging on the use of artificial intelligence in order to pass the gospel across easily to people. Gone are the days when they are making the presentation like Jesus. How many of us remember that Jesus at that time? You take it to the village, you bring one whole projector like this, having wheel, turning around and around and around. And we discover that all those things now, you have done it in a very simple way. But what am I trying to pass across? We have a challenge now in our churches. We have a challenge now in youth ministry. We have a challenge now in teens and children ministry. In order to pass the gospel across easily with what they can see. For a perfect example, we are meant to understand that, yes, a 14-year-old boy will listen to you for 14 minutes. After 14 minutes, he won't listen to you again. Because he wants to do other things. And you discover that now, a 3-year-old, now look at this. Let me quickly paint a picture. In church, they want you to be in, if you're a children minister, you understand what I'm trying to pass across. Church is for 3 hours. Then you are going to stay with some children, toddler, children, for about 3 hours. A 3-year-old boy will listen to you for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, you see them making us and giving excuses. I want to go and wee-wee. I want to go and poo-poo. So what am I trying to pass across? I now discover that a child can stay in front of Cartoon Network for more than 7 hours without even asking for what of video games that they play on their phone. All these are the use of what? AI. Now the question is, how do we bring this to church so that these children can listen to us, so that they can really cooperate with us? I've told you, you can get their attention based on their ages. Now talk about Gen Z. Now, how do you minister to Gen Z? How do you minister to Alpha generation? They are born with technology. You remember what happened in 2020 during COVID-19? Some of us are not even going to church, but we have services at home. Look at the use of Zoom. Right now, look at this generation Alpha. Time will not permit me to bring this definition, but look at their characteristics. I'm talking about Alpha generation. They grew up digitally. The COVID-19 generation, globally connected and influenced. Look at what is happening in the schools. Some schools now, classroom are having LED TV screens just to pass teaching across to children. And now you now discover that yes, in church we have to bring another thing. I've been in ministry that yes, children ministry, they make use of cards. Now look at this. When you are bringing cardboard, you are writing on it. You see, and the age of these ones, they use their mommy's phone, watch TV. Then the question is, how will they understand you when we don't leverage on technology? Now let me quickly tell you this. If you have your Bible, you can write this down. There are some, yes, I'm rounding up now. If you have ever heard of Superbook, how many of us have heard of Superbook? Superbook is a cartoon that you can play for children. They listen when they see Superbook. Another one is Bible Man. How many of us have heard of Bible Man? It's on YouTube. You can download it and make use of it. Then another one that you can make use of is Torchlighters. All the stories of John Bunyan, stories of Mary Slessor, they have reduced this to cartoon. All this can be played for children and explanation will be very, very easy. And by this, you can leverage on this to bring them to the gospel. I'm from Capstone Children, Young Persons and Caregivers Mission. You can get my number. We can talk more on this as we train our children minister. The Lord bless you.
Like I said, our next speaker is Mr. Shina Badru, the founder and owner of Technology Times. It's going to be coming up in a minute. He's been online. We've not been able to communicate with him, but we hope now we're going to get it right. The minute he's ready, let me just put him on straight. So thank you very much. We'll get back to the three of you. We have your information. We want to hear the other 2 or 3 or 4 more pitches, and then we'll be able to give you a feedback. We also wanted things that were associated with AI, and so that's our priority, is to push things in the direction of AI. So very quickly, how many of you know Technology Times? They were one of the few journalists who made the transition from physical newspapers to digital newspapers early, before anybody else saw the opportunity. I was talking to this one as our speakers tomorrow. Please, can you come out, sir, and share with me what you shared about the opportunities for those of you who are coppers and looking for jobs. These that are available now.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. So while myself and the pastor was talking some moments ago, and to one of the speakers, the man from AI Nigeria, I mentioned prompt engineering. You know, as simple as that word is, particularly the coppers, please, I will enjoin you and beg you to research into it. As of today, the going rate for a junior prompt engineer in Canada and in Europe is as much as $90,000 per annum. And the beautiful thing about that profession is that you don't need to have a IT background. Prompt engineering is just people who are professional in writing commands to all these popular AI platforms. Just know how to use that platform. Particularly people who knows how to just, you know, things like DeepSeek, for example, is the latest in town. There's going to be so much professionals being sought after in using of that platform. You should develop yourself, perfect yourself in that place, and you can work from anywhere in the world. That's the beautiful thing. You don't need to go abroad. You can be in Nigeria and be earning cool foreign currency with a top organization. All what you are doing for them is structuring prompt engineering that suits their business case. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let's thank Mr. Tose. He'll be speaking tomorrow. He'll be speaking tomorrow about finance. That's his area of specialty and AI in that industry. But we thought this was important information to let people know that there is also benefits of learning how to use these AI platforms that is replacing the old one of coding and so on and so forth. That's still valid. Please, nobody should tell you it's not valid, but this is a new opportunity. And if I'm 40 years younger, I have a feeling I would have changed direction. So think about it, all right? We're still struggling. This is something I tried to avoid. I asked for videos because, like, you see what happened with Mr. What's his name? Christian. His own went rather smoothly because it was pre-recorded. But, you know, Nigerians have faith. Sometimes my faith is eroded by technicality. I can't hear you, I can hear you, I can hear you. It's typical. And I'm usually tired of it. So I said, let's have a pre-recorded version and a Q&A system live. But most people opted for whatever. So while we're still trying to get him together, we have some we have some teachers, some owners of schools here this afternoon. This is the one video that really helped me to appreciate what they call it, AI. Now it has two applications. It has an application for the school owners, but it also has an application for you as parents. So I hope while we're sorting out the technical, we'll watch this as far as we can watch it. So can you play it?
Anyone who's been paying attention for the last few months has been seeing headlines like this, especially in education. The thesis has been students are going to be using ChatGPT and other forms of AI to cheat, do their assignments, they're not going to learn, and it's going to completely undermine education as we know it. Now, what I'm going to argue today is not only are there ways to mitigate all of that. If we put the right guardrails, we do the right things, we can mitigate it. But I think we're at the cusp of using AI for probably the biggest positive transformation that education has ever seen. And the way we're going to do that is by giving every student on the planet an artificially intelligent but amazing personal tutor. And we're going to give every teacher on the planet an amazing artificially intelligent teaching assistant. I'm going to show you the early stages of what our AI, which we call Conmigo, what it can now do, and maybe a little bit of where it is actually going. It is not a cheating tool. Notice, when the student says, tell me the answer, it says, I'm your tutor, what do you think is the next step for solving the problem? Now, if the student makes a mistake, not only does it notice the mistake, it asks the student to explain their reasoning, but it's actually doing what I would say not just even an average tutor would do, but an excellent tutor would do, and it's not just in math. This is a computer programming exercise on Khan Academy where the student needs to make the clouds part. And so we can see the student starts defining a variable, left x minus minus. It only made the left cloud part, but then they can ask Conmigo, what's going on? Why is only the left cloud moving? And it understands the code. It knows all the context of what the student is doing. And it understands that those ellipses are there to draw clouds, which I think is kind of mind-blowing. And it says, to make the right cloud move as well, try adding a line of code inside the draw function that increments the right x variable by 1 pixel in each frame. Even when I'm tutoring my kids when they're learning to code, I can't help them this well, this fast. This is really going to be a super tutor. And it's not just exercises, it understands what you're watching. It understands the context of your video. It can answer the age-old question, why do I need to learn this? And it asks Socratically, well, what do you care about? And let's say the student says, I want to be a professional athlete. And it says, well, learning about the size of cells, which is what this video is about, that could be really useful for understanding nutrition and how your body works, etc. It can answer questions, it can quiz you. And we think this is just the very tip of the iceberg of where this can actually go. And obviously there's many potential positive use cases, but perhaps the most powerful use case, and perhaps the most poetic use case, is if AI, artificial intelligence, can be used to enhance HI, human intelligence, human potential, and human purpose.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. Tomorrow we'll show the full version. It's really powerful. It's an amazing tool. And one of the things we're going to do as Wetin Be Ai is that we're going to find a school that is interested in implementing Conmigo in their school and work with Khan Academy to help you establish that portal for your students and your teachers. So that's one of the things we're going to be involved in. So it's going to require some discipline and some investment to make sure that your school can handle it and your students. And so we're going to be working with Khan Academy and you to ensure that your kids can start it. But let me tell you the best part. It means that a child in Okeado High School can have access to the same teacher a child in New York City has, which means you've already expanded the child's ability to learn things that his Nigerian teacher may not know, not because the teacher is bad, but that the teacher hasn't been exposed to. And like you said, it's not a cheating tool. It's a teaching assistant, and it's really, really good. Now, there are many others, but to me, this is the best in the world, for the simple reason that Khan Academy has a track record of successfully implementing great academic programs, and they have integrity behind what they do. And that's why I'm strongly recommending it. Tomorrow, during the early morning session, we'll play it in full so that those, we're expecting some people from UI to be here so that we can talk to them about this opportunity as well. We're still struggling with the internet. We're still struggling with our last two guests. One of them is supposed to come in at 2:30, so we'll wait for him to finish to come on if he doesn't come on. And the one that's supposed to come in at 2, we've already waited for him and he's still not on. So what we'll do now is we'll do what we're supposed to do last, which was have everybody who spoke earlier on come on the podium, and then we'll just take Q&A and talk about the ethical part of AI. But let me put it this way. It's the questions you ask that is going to help us be able to help you this afternoon. So what we're going to do now, while we can't hear from these two people that are supposed to close this meeting for us, is to switch the program around to Q&A. Any questions you want to ask about AI. So I'm going to invite any of our speakers who are still there. There's no need for us to get on stage and start rearranging the stage, but wherever our speakers are, they would respond to questions. So anybody have any questions or anything you want to say? We're going to do that till 3 o'clock, and I'm going to stop this meeting. All right? Anybody have any questions you want to ask? Or any area you want us to go? We have videos, tons of them, that can answer some of your questions. There are just too many. We have videos on DeepSeek. We have videos on the new one that's come by, how many of you know Alibaba released one a few days after DeepSeek, and it pushed DeepSeek down and came to the top, and immediately they finished, another person came up with another one that is trying to push Alibaba down. The problem is that in all these fights, it doesn't matter who wins. We are not on that ladder. Am I making sense? So we shouldn't push ourselves to that. But the best part for me for DeepSeek is that DeepSeek is free. And it has all the features of ChatGPT. Now, it's not as intelligent as ChatGPT, I can tell you that much. It's not as detailed with ChatGPT. But you get to upload your PDFs. You can ask it to summarize the book for you. You know, and it's fantastic at doing that. And so I really want to encourage you, if you haven't got anyone, take DeepSeek. Now they have apps on Android and they have apps on in the Apple Store. So that's settled. Do you have any questions for us? Well, yeah, yes. Can we get a mic, please, guys? There's a mic on my table. Can I get somebody to help me? We're having real... Okay, he's there. Mr. Badru is there. Have you been able to sort out his audio?
Yeah.
Huh? His audio is ready. Okay, we'll take your question later. Hello, sir.
Can you hear me?
Can he hear us? Is he okay? Can he start?
Can you?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Hear?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can we put him center screen? Can he hear us? Is he okay? Can he start?
Can you?
Center screen. Can he hear us? Is he okay? Can he start?
Can you?
Center screen.
Okay. I just want to confirm if you all can hear me loud and clear. Thank you very much. I'm going to make this slightly less complicated. First of all, let me, as a form of introduction, my name is Shino Badaru. I work as the founder of Technology Times Media Limited, a Nigerian technology-focused media outlet that is focused on showcasing the very best of Nigeria's innovation, creativity in the area of information and communication technology. We've done that for the better part of since over 20 years now, founded in 2004. I just decided to give that as a background. Let me also put a bit of a context. I was initially told that I would be speaking to how a typical journalist uses AI in the course of the everyday journalism work and practice. But the final program I saw spotlighted the fact that I will be speaking on e-governance. I'm very much at home with the two subject matter. To also fast track on this, I would acknowledge that earlier today, I listened to Dr. Adebola was provided a very profoundly insightful perspective on the foundation, particularly the academic side to the subject matter of AI today. I was deeply, deeply enlightened the more for all of what I've known about AI. I want to thank Professor Adebola for giving us that foundation so that we do not need to belabor the matter of whether, as of today, as an attendee on this platform, whether you understand what AI is all about, we can take it for granted. It's also been able to also stoke our imagination and also provoked a few thought-provoking ideas within us, particularly his own perspective about the need for us to begin to ronu, talking about which is the Yoruba inflection for some form of deep thinking. I must also acknowledge that I was deeply enlightened listening to other speakers talk about Skynet and those early days of the internet and how a player like Skynet had also done a wonderful job. Skynet, founded by my very good brother, Reverend Sunday Folayo, had done a very good work, pioneering work of providing some level of sub-regional internet penetration in those pre-GSM era before the big players came and virtually phased out the relatively smaller player in that internet service provisioning industry. The other perspective, which I would acknowledge with some measure of hilarity, is the fact that I found the Ibadan flavor of, I think if I'm correct, Mr. Akinwale, about the spiritual dimension of AI when he was talking about AI, leveraging AI for trading. So that's to show you that I've been along all this while. So for you to understand my industry, what does a typical journalist do? We all understand journalism at its most basic foundation to be that art, whether you consider it a practice, the science or the art of, or the process of providing an account of events that happen around us, which is what we call news, okay? So what the journalist does is news gathering and providing them in a manner that is professionally processed. That professional processing of the news, there are quite a number of pillars that go into that process. And I'll give you a real life journalist work day, what it could be like, so that you also understand how technology, whether computing, whether online publishing, or any the AI that we're talking about today has impacted trade in the journalism business. Think about it. A typical journalist day begins maybe, by the way, my journalism foundation started in a newspaper that you're very conversant with today called This Day newspaper. I was the pioneer information technology editor for This Day newspaper. And that's that section of the newspaper focused on the information technology space in Nigeria. Started a few months before the famous Y2K bomb that everybody predicted was just going to be like some apocalyptic occurrence that would make all the computers in the world freeze at midnight as we cross over to the new millennium. Thankfully, that never happened. And just like any other hype that you could find in the tech space, we witnessed that, and just pretty much the way today that we're witnessing the mix of the hype and the non-hype part of AI. So in those era, we started that pull out around 98 or so. A few things were happening back then. Quite a number of newspapers in Nigeria were running the brick and mortar model. And I'll give you an idea of what I meant by the brick and mortar model. A typical journalist, just imagine Shina Badaru, I have an event to cover in, say, a hotel. A hotel compared to Ikeja, where the newspaper head office is in Lagos, is a good distance. So you hop on the morning bus. I'm talking about in the 90s. You hop on the morning bus and you travel maybe like 2-3 hours in traffic, sometimes back in those days, all the way from Ikeja, you get to a hotel. You attend maybe just like another Wetin Be Ai. I mean, just like the conference we're having. The conference starts maybe around 10 o'clock. You are in that conference till around 2 o'clock. So by about 2, you leave the conference venue and head back to Ikeja. You spend the better part of like 2 or more hours getting back to Ikeja. So let's imagine this is Shino arrives back in the Disney office, and you first of all decide, oh, okay, it's been a very tough, grueling day. You first of all go to a nearby bar and you have a bottle of beer to cool down the tension of the day before eventually heading into the newsroom. Now I'm going to count, and I need to carry you along in terms of the processes and procedure that a typical journalist goes through in terms of filing their story and processing them in order to be able to make them fit for publication for the newspaper of the next day. So I come back to the newsroom. I get something in the newsroom that we call off cut. It's some bits of papers that are cut off the bigger newsprint that we use to manually write on paper and pen, with pen on that paper. So you write your story. The first, the first tranche of your story on a piece of paper. Process number 1. Process number 2, that piece of paper is taken to your editor, who you directly, answer to. It takes a look at it and finds out that, oh, okay, this is fit to publish. It doesn't have libel in it. It doesn't impinge on anybody's intellectual property, and a few other checks. And then it decides whether this is fit to go into the page 1 or news pages, and that takes place. So when that cross-checking has been done, that same piece of paper is taken to a lady in our computer room, who will then type them from your handwritten off cut into the computer. Now, this process I'm describing was even more cutting edge at that time, because if you were in the Daily Time era, you probably would have that piece of paper, first of all, typed in on a typewriter rather than a computer. But this was pretty much on the cutting edge at that time in terms of computing. So process number 2, it goes from that computer back to, it's then printed out again to a much senior editor, who takes a look at it and decided whether it was fit to go into the news pages and all of that. And from then, by the time this clearance is done, it's taken back to the computer room, where it goes through a process of desktop publishing that we normally call page planning in the newsroom. From the page planning, it is then taken to another place where they prepare the film, and all of that before. If you had an in-house press, just like some other newspaper had at that time, they will take those film and it's automatically fed into the machine and it starts rolling in the printing press. So within this whole process of preparing the news for tomorrow's reader, you see those people that you see gathered at what you call the popular newsstands and vendors spots. You probably would have counted 15 processes. Fast forward to 2024, okay? A journalist attends the same conference in a hotel. He's done with the conference maybe by about 2 o'clock. From the comfort of his mobile phone or his tablet PC, he could just stroll over to the hotel bar while having a bottle of Coke or his choice of drink, is typing away on his computer. He sends the same report to his office in less than 30 minutes. The gentleman who has to go through that same process of fact-checking for libel, for plagiarism, and a whole lot of other checks would perform this same task in less than 30 minutes. What happens? It publishes on a website in less than 15 minutes. The website takes the news across Nigeria, Africa, and beyond in less than 1 hour. If you don't think that technology has been disruptive enough, I think if there's anything more to validate how much of technology has disrupted my industry, I think just that single person example would further help to cement. Okay, I understand that you can no longer hear me. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? I got a message that you can't hear me anymore. Anyway, to continue, let me also give a second real life example. As a young reporter back then, I had the library card of over 6 libraries. Thank you. I understand that you can now hear me. Just to give you a real life example of how much technology has disrupted the business and practice of journalism. As a rookie reporter back in those days, I had the library card for the Guardian newspaper, I had the library card for Daily Times newspaper, I had the library card for United States, we call it the USI. They have a big library somewhere in Broad Street. I have their library card. I had the library card for Goethe Institute, okay, the cultural center for the German embassy. The library card for National Library on the end of Broad Street in Lagos. So in order to conduct research on a subject matter that I would need to write about, I would need to visit physically, slap the streets of Lagos to visit any of these libraries. Today, thanks to the internet and a whole lot of other possibilities that it has done, we have all of this at our fingertips, whether for research or for gathering any other information. So that's as much as technology. If you're following my drift, I've been focusing more on the technology because AI or any other iteration of this technology that we're talking about today continues to evolve. It's just the name that changes. It is the fact that it changes everything. It's a disruptor. It's a disruptor of the old order that we've always known and taken for granted. And what I would say is that on the e-governance side, to speak quickly to that also, is that I think largely inspired by President Bola Tinubu's inaugural speech where he had indicated that he was going to leverage the digital economy to create over 1 million jobs and drive employment creation, you find out that across all the ministries, departments, and agencies today, apart from a fully functional communications and digital economy ministry, there's been a stimulus that's been sparked by that administration's agenda that you will find out today that from projects, programs, and initiative, if one ministry is not talking about AI, another is talking about how it is creditably using technology to drive the delivery of government services, which is what e-governance is all about. It's about leveraging technology to ensure that the efficiency of the passport that we get from the Ministry of Interior today has been radically disrupted. People can today sit in the comfort of their homes and do the same old thing that would have required them to go to a passport office and spend number of long hours. And if that doesn't validate it enough, in my own time, we had to physically go to WAEC office or JAMB office. Okay, anybody from my era would remember the name of a street in Ikoyi called Oxford Street, where you physically had to procure your JAMB form. You had to go back there to submit your bank JAMB form, and these were done in paper format. Today's Gen Z generation will never imagine the world we live in, because from NECO to JAMB, all of this are done digitally from the comfort of their mobile phones, and every process along the way, end to end, is delivered to them digitally and virtually. Another example to look for, to also use to endorse this is the national identity number that ensures that the legitimacy and the identity of every Nigerian today that is enrolled on that platform ensures that from cradle to grave, we know who you are. We have information about you. Those information are not information that you can change or replicate in such a way that it offers the government a window of opportunity, not just to secure us the more, but to also drive the delivery of public sector services. Okay, I'm aware I have 3 minutes more to go. It also enables the government MDAs to drive the delivery of public sector services to the citizens of Nigeria. And that's not limited to the MDAs. If you look across the length and breadth of Nigeria today in terms of the delivery, every single government, starting from the most basic, every single state government in Nigeria today has a website, as a first step of connecting with their various publics and connecting with their various stakeholders. So you go there, you find out what the government of that state is doing. They've been leveraging also the social media platforms from Twitter to Facebook and all of that to also reach out to various demographics and all of that. But what would be my passing thought? My passing thought will be, well, I will be disclosing this for the first time here, that in technology times over the last 1 year, particularly when the president made that announcement about driving the delivery of some of his renewed hope agenda, we started tracking across the various states of Nigeria and across the MDAs, how the MDAs and the states of Nigeria, across all the 6 geopolitical zones, have been following through in terms of aligning their projects, programs, and initiatives across or along with this digital transformation agenda of the federal government. And we've been pleasantly surprised that length and breadth of Nigeria today.
Can we tell him to please? We still have to appreciate him, please. Let's thank him.
Okay. Across the
He's a
length
very
and breadth
good
of
man. It's a unique
an uptake in digital
what do you call
transformation.
it, journalist who's made that breakthrough. And you can see the point he's raising about how we need to shift with technology and with the times. I want to encourage all of you to please, let's do that. We have one more speaker. I don't know if he's online yet, but he's from America, but I don't know if he's going to make it this afternoon. But we have to round up at 3 o'clock. And so we only have about 10 minutes. This gentleman had a question. Quickly now so that we can round up. Can I encourage you? Did you get anything out of today at all? Do you mind bringing somebody tomorrow? So that we can get value for what we've invested in. You know, there's no charge for this, and we're not collecting an offering. So please try as much as possible to come with somebody. We'll be fast. We're seeing the technical problems we have today. We'll do our best to eliminate it by tomorrow. We'll figure out how to separate the audio from the internet into a different source before we give it to them at the table over there. They'll do it after this program is over. I promise you. Yes, go on. Where's the microphone? Where are my ushers? Is somebody giving him a mic? Where's the mic? Toby, where's the mic? Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor Adewale. Permit me to introduce myself.
Yeah, you're very
My
welcome.
name is Victor Adewale Isaac. I'm a creative designer. I've been a creative designer for over 4 years, working across all spheres of the creative industry and the sector in Nigeria, right from finance to education to real estate. And I've worked with quite a number of startups, but that is a brief introduction about myself. My question is going to be, how can African creatives use AI in brand development in their brand development while maintaining the authenticity that it all encompasses being an African? Why can you still use AI in maintaining that authenticity? And when I say authenticity, it's going to be in the sphere of coming as a creative, as a designer, right? And working across different startups. I'll use a statistic as an example. As of 2022, Nigerian startups are able to generate $1.2 billion all round. But this is 2024, and not all the startups are existing anymore. To me, one thing that they missed out is going to be branding yourself in the sphere of being an African, so as to retain your audience, so as to retain your market value and people you are trying to target, right? That is what brought about my question when I sat down there and listening to this program. How can African creatives or African startups use AI in branding their organization while still maintaining the authenticity and the goal that they brought about in creating their startups and being a creative too? Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. We won't be able to spend a lot of time on this, and some of our speakers are not on seat right now. And so what I want to do quickly is say, have you watched the movie Wakanda? Was it Black Panther? Black Panther. How many of you have watched Black Panther? How many of you know that all the outfits in Black Panther were taken from original African designs? Did you know that? Did you know that? Many years ago, I just managed to go to, I was just a student, just coming out of university, and I managed to go to the UK, and my brother lives and works in both places. And there are many Nigerian restaurants, but you will find out that Nigerian restaurants serve Nigerians. And one of the things a friend of mine told me at that time was, the problem with us is that we have not learned how to package our food that it applies to people who are outside our culture. He said, for instance, a Yoruba man knows to take pounded yam, turn it into a roll, put it in the stew and eat it. A white man doesn't know that. You have to show him that. Am I making sense? But you can't educate him while he's buying the pounded yam, but you can pre-roll the pounded yam. I don't know if you get the point he's making. And put it on the plate in roll so that all he knows is to take one piece, put it in the stew and eat it. I don't know if you get the point I'm making. So what has generally happened to us is that we're failing to understand that people don't see things the way we see it. Most of us go to Chinese restaurants and they're super expensive. Am I making sense? Chinese food is meant to be the cheapest food in the world. And Chinese food is meant to be cheapest food in the world, yet it's the most expensive food in Nigeria. They have taken the cheapest food in China and sold it to you as if they're selling to you expensive stuff. That's the thing. If you have an African design, you can go up to an AI and tell the AI, how do I modernize this? And being an artist, you'll be able to judge by the different versions that it gives you of that work what conjures well with your heart. Am I making sense? So our problem is we keep selling to, we fail to understand that other people don't understand life the way we do. There's a guy selling jollof rice in London right now from a bus, a double-decker bus. Packaged jollof rice. And guess who's on the queue now? White people. And of course, a few years ago, diversity wasn't something that was important. Today, there's diversity. So the society itself is shifted. Nigerian music has gone global. And so what's next? Food. Fashion, am I making sense? And all that will start to come online. Why? Because they are now beginning to, although they say they are recognizing us as equals, but we know that they are slightly recognizing us a little bit more. We know we're not yet equals. Am I making sense? So for me, that's one way to use AI, because you can't let AI take you away from your ethnic nature of who you are. Am I making sense? But you can ask it. For instance, I was showing this on Sunday here, that if you wrote the way, most people don't know that the way they catch 419ers on online is they use an AI that was created in a university to detect Nigerian 419 letters. Because they find out that Nigerians write in a particular way. Yeah, the same format. We always talk. As a matter of fact, look at our CV. So Nigerians write in a particular. So they developed an AI that will automatically detect whether your email is 419. It's automated. And so you also find out that Nigerians write their CVs in certain ways that turns other people off. And so one of the things you can do now is to say, I'm writing to a British company. How do I write it in such a way that it, am I making sense? It will appeal to that British company. What are they looking for? What are their emphasis? Am I making sense? So we can't use AI to change us. We have to use it, like we've been told, from morning till evening today, to enhance who we are and what we do. But again, we have to train it. If we don't train it, it won't do anything for us. And the training simply starts by us using it. Whether it's deep sick or non-sick, whatever it is, just use it. Learn. And like somebody said, data, we've already given up our lives online. As a matter of fact, if you go to the US Embassy and the British Embassy, as they're checking your form, they're checking your online profile. How many of you know that? And they're judging you. You're at the airport, you're trying to enter the US, you think they're checking your fingerprints, they're not. They're checking your Facebook page. Did you say you are coming to America to stay? They will find it out on your Facebook page. Am I making sense? So let's understand what is happening and adapt to it. One of our speakers today is still around, and that's Dr. Tunde Adigbola. I want to thank him. Can you help me thank him from the bottom of our heart? So I'm going to allow him to kind of, since he has heard everything we've said this afternoon, to just do like a closing statement so that we can all go. Well, this gentleman hasn't signed up. Maybe he hasn't woken up. He's 7 hours behind us, so we can understand that might be difficult, or 8 hours behind us, so we can understand it would just be about 6 o'clock in the morning. In where he is, I think he's in Los Angeles or something. So Doc, if you don't mind, just look at us, talk to us like your children. For somebody who's been doing AI for almost 25 years, I think he needs to bless us. I don't know if you know what I mean, to say catch up at last, you know what I mean, and we can let everybody go. Is that okay? So can you come with somebody tomorrow to make this worthwhile? I promise you we'll deal with all our lapses today, and then we'll try and improve on what we're doing. I should have stuck my ground by asking them to all pre-record their messages. They all sent me appeals that I should allow them to Zoom in. And because they are my guests, I had to honor them. But I shall stop honoring them from tomorrow. Doc, if you mind. You can stand there and talk. You don't have to come.
Thank
Thank you. It's been a very interesting day. The various perspectives that have been expressed here today. I'll just like to tee off from the last question and remind us that one of the recurrent themes today is that AI is not meant to replace us, but to enhance us. So even when, as an African, as a Nigerian, you are trying to use AI to stamp your even though as a Nigerian, as an African, you are trying to use AI to stamp your personality, to stamp your person, your persona on what you are doing, you must remember that you are not handing over the reins, the control to AI. You are just using AI to enhance yourself, to support you to express yourself. And that is very, very important. You are asking questions from the AI model. What kind of things should I do? What kind of things should I say? How do I present myself? How does the person I'm trying to communicate with perceive me? And then it's now your responsibility to package yourself in the way you want to be perceived. And that's for me, is something that has kept reoccurring today. And this thing about getting in and using it, we should just get involved, use the tools, understand them, implant your personality, implant your culture, implant your environment on these things. If you use ChatGPT sometimes and it gives you an answer that is not really satisfactory to you, if you try next time, you'll find that it seems to have changed.
Yes.
In fact, some days ago, I asked some questions. I said, is it right to think this way? And it gave me the answer, yes, you are right. And gave me a few options and said, by the way, what do you think yourself about what I've said? Which means it's also trying to get to understand me. So please use these things, get involved. Let us stamp our personalities, our culture on the thing. Thank you very much.
Let's appreciate him one more time. So thank you all very much. I apologize for our flaws. Kunle has told me that you don't come on time. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I'm a firm believer in starting on time. We will start on time. However, it will start differently, but we will start on time. We have to stamp out this African time from our lives. Am I making sense? And as long as I live, I will not start late. All right? So when I go, you can decide to start late. But as long as I'm here, we'll start at 9. All right? So please come on time. We'll give you some fantastic materials before the speakers come on board. Let me thank Mr. Kara for being here throughout. He's a busy man, but he's made time for us. Let's thank Daddy Smith for being here with us as well. And thank members of my congregation who have supported me. Can you thank my media team 3/4? No, not fully. Tell them they will get the remaining 1/4 tomorrow when there's no more hiccup between getting people on. Is that fair enough? So we give them 3/4 clap. Don't give them full. Keep some of it. Tomorrow we'll give them the remaining 1/4, so they will get, they will get 1 1/4 next tomorrow. If there are no mistakes in the streaming, is that okay? Let's set some standards, and we pray that somebody will do an AI to solve that problem as well. So thank you very much. God bless you. I'm going to put off my generator now.